If they running their mouth, then they looking for trouble. Ran right up in the knowledge, now they back in the huddle. See, they know we can fight, new content every week. Me and Dr. Clyde, keep on bringing the heat. Now they know they were driven, and they know we quitting. Yoshi and the winner, keep on bringing the energy. Unity, unity, unity. See, they know we ain't stopping, and they know they got problems, and they ran out of options. If they know we got a problem, can't let it go unsolved. Bring back learner, Afrocentric history, we see tomorrow. Karma is karma, I say what I say out here underwater. Till I see I fall off, then I bring y'all up on note. I'm back up on my Clyde winners, 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 divine winters, Clyde winters, mind bender, Clyde winters, I'm Richard, ride with ya, master teacher, create masters, Clyde winters, give respect to the elder, Clyde winters. Somebody out there living for me. I told you somebody out there looking for me. I think there's somebody out there looking for me. I think there's somebody out there looking for me.
We have to live by God. We have to live by God. I have not done wrong. I have not robbed. I have not stolen. I have not drained. I have not told lies. I have not stolen food. I was not stolen. I have not fornicated with the fornicator. I have not caused anyone to weep. I have not dissembled. I have not transgressed. I have not discussed secrets. I have brought no lawsuits. I am not wrong. I am not struck dead. I am not transgressed the law. I have not been hunted. Except when I'm talking about on the song. I have not made extolling. I have not bragged. I have not cursed. I have not been violent. I have not confounded truth. I have not been impatient. I have not cursed against somebody out there looking for me.
Dr. Winter's legacy is a testament to the power of knowledge and the unyielding spirit of exploration. His impact is felt worldwide, as he shares and enlightens at conferences, symposiums, and collaborative projects. His voice is a beacon in the academic world, challenging, inspiring, and always educating. His journey reminds us that the quest for knowledge is never-ending, and its impact is timeless. Dr. Winters teaches us to challenge the narratives and to learn with an open mind. As he always says, B1 is not a group, it's a lineage. Let his story inspire everybody to pursue knowledge relentlessly and to always seek the truth. Now let us welcome in the grandfather of research, the Trill OG himself, the Honorable Dr. Clyde Winters.
What up, though? What up, though? Hey, do you know what day it is? Well, I'm going to tell you. It's Thursday. And when it's Thursday, it's time for another Black History Gems. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. How you doing, Curtis? Curtis is a wonderful researcher. His brother keeps it straight. Whoa, 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 whoa. It's my oracle, Sister Janice. What up, though? This woman has written a lot of books. look and buy her books, you know, by Shanice Lindsay. They're on YouTube, not just YouTube. They're on Amazon.press. She's written 3 books. Buy these books. Support this brother. She has so many good things to tell you about the history of our Black people in Britain and other places around the world. Again, in a sense, thank you very much, guys, for showing up today, because this is a wonderful time. Yeah, very wonderful. And it's wonderful because the fact, in a sense, is that I'm here again. Yes, yes, yes. I made it. Yes, I made it. I'm here. It's Thursday, a beautiful day. But I it's kind of surprising. I look so dark on this. I mean, just call me Blackie. I don't know. But again, in a sense, the thing is this: is that it's very important that we understand that it's through knowledge and power that we will find, those things which will set us apart and help us to be, wise. Today, I want to talk a little bit about. I want to talk about the Black Europeans in the Atlantic world. A lot of people, they don't understand, in a sense, the great role or the influence of the Black Europeans, not only in the Americas but also in Canada. I mean, not Canada, not only in America but also in parts of the United States. Is that there were many Black Europeans, and these Black Europeans, they came here to help, teach us about, teach us about the history, but a lot of that history has been, hidden from us. And much of it has been hidden because the fact, in a sense, is that people don't want you to know. No, they don't want you to know our role. They don't want you to know, in a sense, the important role that we played, Black people played, throughout the entire world, maybe throughout the entire universe. I don't know. But I'm not going to go there, because then I'll just be on that. I'll just be up in there. I'll be by myself, But again, in a sense, I want to make sure that everybody, understands, in the sense that we're here to learn. How you doing, Curtis? Good day. What up, though? Shanice, thank you for coming. Kane Morgan, how you doing? What up, though? And again, in a sense, I thank all you guys for coming and and supporting the Black History Gems. Also, here's a ab review. How you doing? Greetings. What up, though? Again, in a sense, it's very important, in a sense, that we try to recognize the important role that knowledge can play in our development, in our becoming who and what we are. That's why I really respect the fact that Shanice has spent so much time doing research. She's working on some other books. When her new book come out, I'm going to try to publicize that. She has a program, and she's been talking to a lot of the Black liberators over in Africa. And Shanice has her own show, so please check out the Sister Shanice show, because she has a lot that she can help you understand. And so it's very important, in a sense, what's happening up. How you doing, Kanisha? Thank you for visiting us today and sharing, your time. But again, I want to talk about the Black Europeans today and their role in the Atlantic world. When I'm talking about the Atlantic world, I'm talking about everything that happened on the Atlantic coast that happened, from, across the whole area. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted, in a sense, to talk about this. But it's very important that we do this. So let's get started. Okay, again, let the researcher do the research. Yes, let the researcher do the research. Some of you guys may want to do Afrocentric research. If this is so, you may want to take my class. Yes, yes. I have a class that deals with our research, and you may want to take this class. So, you can always contact me if you're interested, and you can learn more about how to do research and the important role that doing research can do in relationship to understanding our great history and things like that. Let the researcher do the research. Yes, let the researcher do the research. Dr. Clyde Winters, let him do the research. We need more researchers like Dr. Clyde Winters. Yes, yes, yes. Let the researcher do the research. Yes, we don't understand that it takes people who want to do research to be able, in a sense, to tell us our history. Yes, many people have taken my course, The Afrocentric Researcher. You can take it too. All you got to do is join. But if you don't, in a sense, join, understand that it's through your hard work, through your persistence, that you can become a researcher. Yes, yes, yes. Let the researcher do the researcher. You know what? I've written some books that can help you to be a researcher. Those books are Pathfinder, Clyde Winters in Search of the Roots of Afrocentric Studies. Yes, yes, this book is an important book. It'll help you learn all about your history. My other book is Afrocentric Researcher by Dr. Clyde Winters. This book, in a sense, is the most important book that you will find. What makes this book important is that the Afrocentric Researcher provides you with a course, yes, provides you with a course outline that tells you all the things you do to be a great researcher. Yes, get these books, the Afrocentric Researcher, and in a sense, get my book, Pathfinder. These books are the books you need to be successful, the books that will make you a great researcher. Get these books, but let the researcher do the research, but you can be the researcher too. Do the research, bye. But anyway, I'd like you guys, in a sense, to buy Shanice's latest book. This is Shanice Lindsay. It's called Hidden in the Shadows. This is a very, very wonderful book. It has a lot of information, that can help you to know what's going on in the role of Black people in Britain. So check out her book. You can go to my Patreon to see the slides after I do this presentation. I'm going to put it on Patreon. You can find me at Twitter at Dr. Clyde Winters 8. Follow me on TikTok.com at Clyde Winters 3. A lot of these shorts were done by Yoshimod the Genius. I appreciate that the brother did this. Hopefully it may still be there. And you should go and check them out and find out more. You can go to YouTube. My YouTube channel is Clyde Winters Historical Research. Check it out. And you can order my books at Amazon.com. Two books that I think that are very important, and two recent books that can help you to understand more about Black people, is The World History of the Black Race. This book is a survey book, and the World History of the Black Race. In this book, what I do is I discuss the history of Black people throughout the world, their various cultures and various civilizations. And my book, The Cultural Continuity of Foundational Black Americans, is my latest book. In The Cultural Continuity of Foundational Black Americans, what I do is I discuss the culture of Afro-American or foundational Black Americans. Many people claim that foundational Black Americans don't have a culture, but we have a very rich culture. And this culture of many things, yes. This culture goes back 10,000 years. Yes, that's as long as foundational Black Americans have been in North America. Yes, over 10,000 years. So check out these books, The World History of the Black Race and The Cultural Continuity of Foundational Black Americans. You can get these books at Amazon.com. Again, in a sense, there's a very interesting video by some brothers. It's called Dr. Clyde Winters, First Americans Were Black. This video, you can find it online. I found it very interesting. And in this video, the brothers discuss the DNA evidence that I used to prove that foundational Black Americans have been in North America for over 10,000 years, the genetic evidence. So I try to check out this video. B1, Black first. Yes. B1 is being Black first, but also your B1 is being brilliant first. And the reason that B1 is Black first and B1 is brilliant first is because of the fact that we are Black and brilliant. Yes, B1. Hug a brother, hug a sister, hug another Black person and let them know that you love them too. Ain't nothing wrong with showing a little love, baby. What is FBA? FBA is not a group. FBA is not an organization. FBA is a lineage. A lineage is a lineal descent from an ancestor, ancestry or pedigree. As a result, we are descendants of the Black European, African, and Aboriginal blacks who built these United States. Yes, 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 yes. That's who we are descendants of. Yes, yes. But today I want to talk about the Black Europeans. They have a lot of artwork in it, and in the past, we used to think many of these works of art that had Black people in Europe, we thought that these represented, in a sense, some type of interlopers, and they usually, in a sense, want to make it as if the Black people are always servants, but it's much, much more complicated than that. Black Europeans were key cultural and economic mediators, intellectual contributors, and resilient figures in the Atlantic world, functioning as interpreters, diplomats, and missionaries, and influencing new cultural forms. They were also vital laborers, both free and enslaved, contributing to the economy through their skills and labor, and playing a role in the political and intellectual life of the era. From the arts to the abolition movement, yes, 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 Black people played a role. But the ancient roots of Black Europeans go back to the dark Iberian and African substratum and early Britain. Evidence of these dark Galls and Pits and Welsh are all discussed in Sister Shanice's book. So again, as I said, try to get her book. You have to try to get her book, because her book, in a sense, will break down this information about the Gales. It'll break down, in a sense, it tells you about all these Black people, and this book is hidden in the shadows. Get Sister Janice's book. Don't be square. Order it today. You can order it at Amazon.com. Check out her work, because her work is very important. There are Black Irish, Black Scots, and Dark Welsh. The phenotypes recorded in the medieval manuscripts show that these people were Black. The suppressed histories under later racial regimes, because they didn't want, in a sense, you to know about these Black Irish, Black Scots, and Dark Welsh, because of their distinct identities prior to British whitening campaigns. We know about these people, and you need to know about these people too. That's one of the reasons why a lot of Indians, people may have read over years, and they found that Indians that had Irish names and stuff. And one of the reasons that they had these Irish names because of the fact that many Black Irish had came over here as slaves. There were two migrations of Irish into North America. One was the white Irish, and but the original group were Black Irish. But these Black Irish that came into the United States, came into the Caribbean, they were considered, in a sense, chattel slaves, just like the Black people. One of the things that really led to this was a Cromwellian upheaval, because Cromwell, he wanted, in a sense, to make Britain Protestant, you see. And so he went through a process of ethnic cleansing. He wanted to get rid of all of the black, in a sense, Irish, because they were Catholics and he was a Protestant. They were targeting dark-skinned Irish, Scots, and Welsh. They forced mass transportation, to the Caribbean and North America as slaves. Yes, in fact, this was the policy. This was the policy of the state to spread and to bring, in a sense, these Black people as slaves. There was a mass enslavement and exportation. About 300,000 Irish were sold during the Cromwellian conquest. Thousands of Scots and Black Welsh were transported to the Americas. Black Europeans included in the slave shipments. Yes, yes, yes. Just as they were delivering some African slaves to the various colonies, they also included, Black Europeans, especially Welsh and Scots, because see, there was a whitening period. It seems as though that all it took was, 2 generations, two light-skinned Black people get together, and then then they get together with other light-skinned Blacks, and then before you know it, they're white. So this is what they went through. They went through this process of always, in a sense, intermarrying with each other. And this made it so that they could regain, in a sense, this lighter complexion. It was very hard, in a sense, for, in the Caribbean for Black slaves. European captives, who came from Ireland and other places, they were classified as Negroes because they were Black. You couldn't really tell the difference. They were into marriages between the so-called African slaves, Black Indian slaves, and the Black Europeans who came over here. As a result, you had blended communities, and these blended communities included not only, in a sense, Africans, Black Europeans, and also, in a sense, Black Native Americans. Yes, it's not Native Americans, Aboriginal Americans, because Native Americans you usually think of the red man. But there were also Aboriginal Black people who lived in these United States. Black Europeans were in the 13 colonies. They were sent to Virginia, Maryland, Carolina. And these Black Europeans, they worked alongside African captives. You know, if they had an indenture, then often, in a sense, the whites who may have been working there, they had indentures, so they were used, in a sense, would work maybe 2 to 7 years, then given land or whatever. But the Black Europeans, they were made chattel slaves. They lost their distinct identity under colonial racial laws because of the fact, in a sense, since they were Black and the vast majority of African slaves were Black, and you couldn't really tell the difference. And so after a while, these Black Europeans became, in a sense, indistinguishable from those so-called African slaves, because both of these groups had the same phenotype and they had the same complexions. The surnames, dialects, and folk traditions are the only evidence that we have of this blended Celtic, African, and Native cultures in these United States. But see, the Black Europeans were early contributors to our identity, because in a sense, they gave us this unique musical talent. That's why I know a lot of times when people try to chart Black music, often they say the music goes back to Europe. One of the reasons that it goes back to Europe is that much of the European music was not done by whites. They were not done by Caucasians. Much of the European music was done by Black Europeans. And that's one of the reasons why we find, in a sense, this relationship between early European music and the music that was being made in these United States. But there was an erasure of European identity. They went through a process of whitening of historical memory. There was a reclassification of Dark Europeans as swarthy whites. And there was also suppression of non-white European lineages. Here we have Miles Davis on the left and Oliver Cromwell on the right. So as you can see is that, hair, physical features, Miles Davis, the jazz musician, looks a little different. There's a little difference between Miles Davis and Oliver Cromwell, as you can see. But we had to go through a process of restoring the Black Europeans to Atlantic history. We had to recognize the multi-continental Blackness. Yes, there was multi-continental Blackness, not just Blackness in Africa, Blackness in Asia. There's also Blackness in North America, because it's by understanding this narrative that they begin, in a sense, to understand the story of the early Black Atlantic. Because see, when we look at the Atlantic, when we look at those countries around the Atlantic, both in Europe, North America, South America, many of these areas were occupied by Black people like you, Black people like me, Black people like us. The Atlantic world is a connected hemisphere from 1400 to 1900. This includes evidence of trade, migration, empires, culture, and resistance. What is the Atlantic world? A vast interconnected region linking Africa, Europe, and the Americas. This interconnected region was formed through trade, exploration, colonization, and cultural exchanges. It became the center of global economic and political developments from the 15th century onward. There were rich civilizations that existed in West African empires: Mali, Songhai, Benin, indigenous American civilizations like the Maya, Aztecs, the Inca, Mississippian in North America. You had Black Europeans in Britain, Ireland, Iberia, and the Mediterranean. These societies had deep cultural and agricultural and technological heritages. But see, the thing is that what you have to, in a sense, is that you have to, try to use your imagination to try to see how both sides of the Atlantic were being occupied by Black people. I'm not saying all the Incas were Black or all the Aztecs were Black or well, I will say the Aztecs, were Black, and many of the Maya, there was red and Black Maya. But what you find, in a sense, is that there's always been this desire. It's always been this desire, in a sense, of the red man, out of jealousy, to deny to deny the role of the black men in the rise of these civilizations. And often, in a sense, often these red cultures or red civilizations, they would take the name because many of them have been adopted by the blacks, so they would take the names of their black people who had adopted them, and then they would take that name and then they would pretend that they were the original founders of these civilizations. They were the people in a sense who may have introduced these cultures, but they weren't the original people. No, they weren't the original people. They, in a sense, were just people who had adopted these cultures, adopted these ways of life, but basically from us. The European maritime expansion motivations were wealth, spices, gold, new trade routes. Key explorers were Columbus, da Gama, Cabral. And see, because of the fact, in the sense that they were trading in the trade between Europe and the Americas, there was a development in the sense of new navigation technologies. And this was a transformation of Europe into a global imperial power. African, European, American interactions of intercontinental contact across the ocean exchange, not only in a sense peoples, but also crops like maize and sugar and rice. Animals, were also brought over here, and the Atlantic became a human crossroad. Yes, it became a human crossroad. Sometimes I think about the fact is that they've found roads. They found all these roads in North America, and these roads are, they're kind of above ground. Sometimes they're kind of high up, but they may extend for maybe miles. And the interesting thing is that sometimes I wonder in a sense, what did they do? How did they travel on these roads? Did they have some form of we don't see any evidence of early horses or oxen, but I wonder who was pulling these carts. Maybe they were pulled by people. I don't know. But it is very interesting in the sense that we do see evidence. Yes, we do see all this evidence of the wheel and the carts in ancient America, going back, 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. So this is very interesting. It's something that we have to, are trying to contemplate. And hopefully, as they do more and more research, maybe we can get a more finer understanding of that whole experience of people in the Atlantic world. The transatlantic slave trade transformed forced migration of 12 to 15 million Africans. Africans became the economic foundation of plantation systems. Enslavement reshaped the demography of the Americas. It created new hybrid communities such as Afro-Caribbean, Afro-Brazilian, and African American, and today foundation of Black Americans. Yes. European migration of Black Europeans. Cromwellian deportation sent Black Irish, Black Scots, and Black Welsh to the Caribbean and Americas. Many absorbed into early plantation societies. Their histories were gradually erased in later narratives. Their cultural presence contributed to early Afro-Atlantic identities. Here's Oliver Cromwell and Miles Davis. And I mean, to us, we say, aha, damn, Oliver Cromwell, if he was walking down the streets of New York, he'd be considered a Black person. But the whole point is that back in the day, it wasn't so much an emphasis on phenotype. There wasn't much an emphasis on phenotype, except in the sense that they didn't use that to identify people, even though they said that certain people were Black, yes, but they didn't use that as a way, in a sense, to just put you down. But what it is that as time went on, and they began, in a sense, to just include, they looked at these Black people, even though in a sense they were elites in Europe or whatever, they looked upon them as being, in a sense, maybe a little bit inferior. And as a result, many of these Black people during the 100-Year War and the 30-Year War in Europe, they began, in a sense, to have their offspring marry lighter-skinned people so that they could kind of lighten themselves, brighten themselves up, so they could look more like the Europeans and stuff. Peoples resisted colonization through warfare, diplomacy, and adaptation. Many formed alliances with Africans and maroon communities. Cultural survival persisted through language, agriculture, and cosmology. The cultural Atlantic was a mixing of African, Native American, and European traditions. There was the creation of the Creole languages. There were hybrid religions like Voodoo, Santeria, and Candomblé. That show in a sense many of these these religions were down in South and Central America. It's kind of interesting that in North America, there was some influence, but it looks as though it wasn't as much religious influence. They didn't really play a role because, see, what we forget is that, yes, although when we think about the Moors, we always think of the Moors in terms of the fact that the Moors represented people from North Africa, but Moors also meant black. And what we don't really remember is that many of the Moors in Europe were not, in a sense, Muslims. Many of these Moors in Europe were, in a sense, Christians. They believed in Christianity, Jesus Christ. We also see, in addition to hybrid religions, we see musical forms such as drumming traditions, call and response. We find many food ways such as rice dishes, okra, plantain traditions. Many of these things, in a sense, show this relationship between the African cultural traditions and cultural traditions that blossomed over here. The Atlantic revolutions reshaped politics. The American Revolution of 1776, the Haitian Revolution of 1791, Latin American Wars of Independence. And what they did, in a sense, is that they showed enslaved people and free black communities played a decisive role in influencing, in a sense, the revolutionary movements here. This was especially true of the Haitian Revolution. But again, it seems as though that somehow things would be cool, and there would be some support, and many of the fighters would be the more darker skin. But it seems as though once the light skin or the mulatto black people would gain any type of control, they would move away from really being pro-black, and they tried to set up a caste, because many of the light-skinned people, because of the fact that they felt that they were closer to Europeans, then they felt, in a sense, that they should be recognized because they're light skinned as being superior to their co-nationalists who were darker skins. And also we notice in the Americas was the world's first successful slave revolts. They overthrew French colonial rule in Haiti, and it inspired enslaved people across the hemisphere to want to have to gain their freedom, because, see, many of the slaves on the plantations, they heard their masters talking about what had happened in Haiti. And so this was encouragement. And it gave many black people on the plantation, I would imagine, recognition that one day they too could be free. The Haitian Revolution was the world's first successful slave revolt. They overthrew the French colonial rule. This inspired enslaved people across the Western Hemisphere, to see themselves as being able to have agency in their own freedom. And this is very important because the global politics and racial ideologies that were established during the slave trade, during the exploitation of black people, black and African people, was in a sense an important thing. But the Haitian Revolution taught that people could be free if they fought for that freedom. As a result of the Haitian Revolution, we see abolitionist movements grew in the United States. There was black resistance, there was religious activism, there was economic shifts. And what we find, in a sense, is that, many revolutionary ideas led to abolition in the Caribbean, the United States, and Brazil. Throughout the 19th century, we see, in a sense, this movement to end slavery and to recognize that all people were human beings. It's still kind of hard, and I'll admit that even today there are still many Caucasian people who try to pretend that black people in some way are not human, and as a result should not be respected. But although they try to do this, they're not able to do this completely. As a result of the emancipation of many black people in the Americas, we see the rise of free black societies. We see the migration of black people, not only in the sense to community, in North America, not only into communities in a sense that were white, but they also Many black people began to form their own towns and little cities and communities. We see that there was a labor contract, there was cultural revival among racial hierarchies shaped by colonial systems. And the African diaspora then is expanded and were strengthened. We find in a sense that black people began to say that, I am somebody. And if I work hard, I can be whatever I want to be, The legacy of the Atlantic world include, in a sense, formation of the modern African diaspora. There's the creation of creolized cultures in the Americas. And there was also, in a sense, this whole idea of global capitalism. And, let's not forget that Europe was broke. Europe had nothing. And this global capitalism that we see today is rooted in plantation labor, because it was the plantations and involuntary servitude that led, in a sense, to many European countries becoming rich, you see? But there's always been these ongoing struggles around race, identity, and power. But although we see this conflict, we also know that black people have been able, in a sense, to influence the music, the language, the religion, and especially the cuisine over here in the Atlantic world. In conclusion, Black Europeans are essential to understanding the Atlantic world. Their legacy lives within the foundation of Black America. Their story must be restored to global history. Yes, that's right. Again, when we look at Oliver Cromwell, again, we see this man, a very, very evil man, a very terrible man. But at the same time, we also see this whole idea that, when I was young, I used to want to always believe that black people are kind people. Black people were usually, in a sense, we're not as vicious. But then when I think about many of the Black Europeans, they were very vicious, very, very, very hateful. And they thought nothing of genocide. They thought nothing of wiping out entire peoples and stuff. And it was hard for me really to accept that reality. But in a sense, I had to accept that reality. I had to accept the reality that black people, I had to accept the reality that black people, in a sense, can be evil too. I had to accept the reality that black people, because the fact, in a sense, is that we may be black, but we can also have those evil tendencies. We can also have these desires to be criminal and hateful towards other people. And this isn't good at all. We shouldn't really think like that. Let's see what's happening in this thing. Corey EZ says, why do blacks wish they were white? Some black people wish they were white because the fact that since they have an inferiority complex. But you know what I find shocking is why do so many white people want to be black? Yes, the music, the way they sing, the way they carry themselves, the way they dress. Yes. White people, I find that it's more white people that want to be black than black people who want to be white. Yes. So Corey, why don't you find out why your people want to be black. Yes, the Black European history shifts down, all the down talking about FBA being lost and having no culture. Yes. That's a lie. We do have our own culture. We do have our own history, Tones 5? Yes, sir. Tone 5 sends us love. What up, though? Tone 5 sends us love. And this is very interesting. And Tone 5 has a lot to say. Support Tones 5. Yes, support.
Free your mind, let it go to the top, drop it to the floor. Hey, energy, come at light whoa. Spring water, let it go. Free your mind, let it go. Tap in, go, let it nigga know. Hey, let it nigga know. Let it nigga know. Energy, come at light whoa. Spring water, let it go. Free your mind, let it go to the top, drop it to the floor. Energy, come at light whoa. Tap in, go, let it nigga know. Hey, she told me go and put it in her heart. I told her I don't wanna break it all apart. Let me be a night light in the dark. Hey, my nigga shine bright with the art. Gemini 2 time, know it's hard. Got the stars on the line with the charts. Big dog, so I gotta leave a mark. Free your mind, cause I'm not that smart. Hey, energy, come at light walk. Spring water, head of that grow. Free your mind, let it go. To the top, drop it to the floor. Hey, energy, come at light walk. Spring water, head of that grow. Free your mind, let it go. Tap in, go, let it nigga know. Hey, let it nigga know.
Our identity and our culture as Black foundational Americans. Yes. Wars between black Indians and whites were manufactured to produce black slaves for whites. The English, the French, and the Dutch provided the Native Americans with guns, rum, and cheap goods to purchase Native American Indian slaves. Between 1670 and 1720, many black Native Americans were enslaved. The black Native Americans were sold into slavery throughout the 13 colonies, Mississippi Valley, Canada, and the British West Indies. The majority of black Native Americans sold into slavery by whites and Indians. Slave traders were the Choctaw, the Yamasee, and other Carolina tribes. Yes. Many of these tribes like the Mandi, Mandinga, many of these tribes, we lost their names. And their names have been lost to history because of the fact, in a sense, that when the European came, as he conquered these black Indians, he just made them slaves. And so over time, in a sense, their nations disappeared. Over time, in a sense, their history wasn't recorded. Over time, they were even able to deny that Aboriginal blacks even existed in America. They wanted to give our Aboriginal ancestors gifts. And the only problem with the gifts that they gave us was that often these blankets that they gave us carried smallpox, diseases. They also, in a sense, gave us another gift, rum, fire water. And this rum caused an addiction among us. And in a sense, it led to a demand for guns because it incentivized Indian slave trading. Yes, the first slaves sold in America were Indians, black Indians, selling other black Indians to Europeans to work on their cotton, not on their cotton plantations, their tobacco plantations, their rice plantations. Yes. We sold each other over here, just like in Africa, because of the fact is that we failed to understand that we are one. We should be united based upon our identity and our culture as black foundational Americans. Yes. Today is today. We need to homeschool our children due to white supremacy. In many states, education departments are passing laws to deny our children from learning the history of foundational black Americans. Today, you can learn how to organize and teach your children in a homeschool in my book, A Guide to Homeschool Foundational Black Americans. You can use my book, History of Blacks in America from Prehistory to 1877, to teach our children their history here in the United States. You can use my book to teach world history. And this book I've written is called The World History of the Black World. This will teach your children about every black civilization in the world. Get this book. The time is now. Get these books to teach your children about their greatness, to prevent them from losing confidence in their own ability to learn and be successful future adults in employment and education.
Supplemental learning for your mini. But you can learn too. Don't send your mini into the belly of the beast unarmed. Courses, practical math, language, the code, our story, and more. An institution founded by us, dedicated to us and our fight for justice. Here you will learn ways to combat the system using the same information they are trying to keep away from you. Welcome to FBA Sunday School.
When is the last time you read a real book? Knowledge given in a book. Benefit from a book. Create a movie from a book. Just don't forget to give thanks to the author. Put time into the book. Thanks. Black history gems. Black history. Black history gems. Essays. Black history gems. Essays. Black history gems. Essays.
By my book, Nationality and the Law. In this book, we discuss the importance of race and identity among many African Americans. I explore the genesis of the so-called blacks from an ethnogenesis of Black Irish, Black Aboriginals, and Sub-Saharan Africans. In this book, you will understand how they were separated into two races and why we call, in a sense, the Caucasian race the white race today. By my book, The Nationality and the Law, you'll enjoy it.
The only thing that can save you is be one. Be one. Be one. To fight Cage, you must stay black first.